What would you do if someone mocked your father's sacrifice right to your face? Keep that question close. The notification pings on Nova Turner's phone at 3:47 p.m. Pickup, Westfield Academy. Destination, Highland Country Club. 5 stars preferred. She pulls the dented Honda Civic to the curb outside the pristine brick gates, where manicured lawns stretch like green carpet, and every car in the student lot costs more than her family makes in 2 years. The academy kids are streaming out designer. Backpacks slung over shoulders, phones glued to palms, voices carrying that particular pitch of people who've never worried about rent. Nova checks her reflection in the rearview mirror. 22 years old, community college dropout, 3 jobs to keep the lights on since her father Stallone Sylvester disappeared into the VA hospital's long-term care ward 2 months ago. The Civic's engine rattles, paint peeling on the hood, duct tape holding the passenger seat together, but it runs. It gets her from point A to point B. It pays for her father's medications. A knock on the window. She rolls it down and looks up at a boy maybe 17 with perfectly styled hair and a watch that probably costs more than her car's blue book value. Liam Bennett. Though she doesn't know his name yet, he's staring at her car like it personally offended him. "You're my Uber driver?" "Yes." "Liam." He doesn't answer. Just opens the back door, settles into the taped seat, and immediately starts filming with his phone. "Oh my God, you guys check out this ride." His voice drips with theatrical disgust as he pans the camera across the faded interior, the crack in the dashboard, the air freshener hanging from the mirror that stopped working weeks ago. This is what happens. When you don't tip your driver enough, they send you the reject mobile. Nova's hands tighten on the steering wheel. She's heard worse, dealt with worse, but something about his tone, the casual cruelty, makes her stomach clench. She pulls away from the curb, focusing on the GPS directions, Highland Country Club 12 minutes away, if traffic cooperates. Liam's still filming. "Look at this steering wheel cover. I think it's older than my grandmother. And what is that smell? Is that poverty?" His friends on the live stream are laughing. She can hear their voices tiny and tinny through his phone speaker. Nova breathes steady. Professional, 5 stars preferred. The radio crackles to Life Classic rock station, her father's favorite, and she reaches to change it, but Liam's voice cuts through. "Oh, perfect. Now we get to listen to dinosaur music in the dinosaur car, driven by the dinosaur driver. Not anger. Not hurt, just focus. She's driven entitled kids before. Rich adults who treat service workers like furniture. This is just another ride, another $5 toward rent, another step closer to visiting her father without worrying about parking fees. But when they stop at a red light and Liam leans forward close enough that she can smell his expensive cologne mixed with mint gum and says the words that change everything, "I bet your dad would be so proud knowing his daughter drives garbage for garbage people like herself." The light turns green. Nova's foot finds the gas pedal. The Civic lurches forward, and in the trunk behind the spare tire, beneath an old military blanket, something waits. Something Liam Bennett and his perfect hair and his live stream audience know nothing about. Something that will make him understand exactly who he's talking to. But first, she has to deliver him to his destination, professional, 5 stars preferred, even when they don't deserve it. The Highland Country Club appears ahead, all white columns and circular driveways, where valets in pressed uniforms wait to park cars that cost more than most people's houses. Nova pulls up to the entrance. "That'll be $12.50. Liam tosses a $10 bill over the seat, not even looking at her. "Keep the change, charity case." He climbs out, slams the door, and starts walking toward the club entrance, where a group of his friends wait, phones already out, ready to hear about his hilarious ride. Nova sits in the idling car, watching him go. The $10 bill sits on the passenger seat, $2.50 short. As always, she picks up the bill, smooths it out, adds it to the small stack in her cup holder. Then she reaches behind her into the space between the seats and pulls out something Liam didn't notice in all his filming and mocking. A photograph, creased and faded, her father in dress uniform, 25 years ago, standing next to a very different car. Not anger, not hurt, just focus. She puts the car in drive and heads home. But this story is just beginning. Nova drives home through streets that get narrower houses, that get smaller paint, that gets more chipped with every mile from Highland Country Club. Her apartment sits above Murphy's auto shop, where the smell of motor oil seeps through floorboards, and the sound of pneumatic tools starts at 7 a.m. sharp. She parks the Civic in the narrow alley behind the building, next to Murphy's collection of half-restored classics, and climbs the metal stairs to her front door. Inside, the apartment holds the accumulated weight of a life lived carefully. Second-hand furniture, bills stacked on the kitchen table, a photograph of her father in his army dress blues, centered on the mantel like a shrine. But it's clean. It's hers. It's home. Nova drops her keys in the ceramic bowl her father made in pottery class during his rehabilitation. The silence feels different today, heavier. Liam Bennett's words echo. I bet your dad would be so proud knowing his daughter drives garbage for garbage people like herself. She walks to the window, looks down at the Civic, sitting patient in the alley. Her father bought that car 3 years ago when his disability payments finally came through. Not new, not pretty, but reliable. Like him. Nova pulls out her phone, scrolls to the VA hospital contact and dials. Meadowbrook Veterans Hospital, long-term. Care unit, how can I help you? Hi, this is Nova Turner, calling about my father, Stallone Sylvester, room 314. Just a moment, honey. The hold music plays some generic instrumental that makes her think of waiting rooms and bad news. Miss Turner, your father had a good day today. He was asking for you. Can I visit tonight? Visiting hours end at 8. But you know we'll make an exception. He's been talking about some old car magazines, says he wants to show you something in his storage unit. Nova checks the clock. 6:30 p.m. I'll be there in an hour. The drive to Meadowbrook takes her through the old part of town, where factory smokestacks reach toward a grey sky and corner stores huddle behind security glass. This is where her father grew up, where he learned to fix engines with hands that could gentle a carburetor back to life or strip an AK-47 in 40 seconds flat. The hospital parking garage smells like antiseptic and sadness. Room 314 sits at the end of a hallway, painted institutional green, where the fluorescent lights hum like distant machinery. Her father looks smaller every time she visits, not weaker, just concentrated, like all the essential parts of him have been distilled into something pure. Daddy, his eyes open, still sharp, still seeing everything. Nova, baby girl, come here. She sits in the plastic chair beside his bed, takes his hand, feels. The calluses 40 years of honest work have carved into his palms. Had an interesting day. She almost doesn't tell him, almost keeps Liam Bennett's cruelty locked away, where it can't hurt this man who gave everything for his country, for his family, for her. But her father's eyes are patient, waiting. A kid today. Rode in the car, said some things. What kind of things? The kind that make you wonder if people see who we really are, or just what we drive. Stallone Sylvester smiles. The same smile that got him through 3 tours in Afghanistan and a roadside bomb that took his mobility but never his dignity. You remember that storage unit I've been paying for, the one by the interstate? You never told me what's in there. Her father reaches for the small table beside his bed, pulls out a set of keys worn smooth by years of careful handling. Unit 47. You need to see what's inside before you decide who you are based on what you drive. The keys feel warm in her palm, heavy with secrets. Daddy, what the nurse appears in the doorway, kind face, tired eyes. Visiting hours, sweetheart. Nova stands, leans down, kisses her father's forehead. I'll go tomorrow. No baby girl tonight. Some things can't wait. The storage facility sprawls beside Interstate 95 like a small city of metal doors and combination locks. Unit 47 sits in the back row, away from the main road, where sodium lights cast everything. In amber shadows, Nova's hands shake slightly as she turns the key. The metal door rolls up with a grinding sound that echoes across the empty rows. Inside, covered by a paint-stained tarp, sits something that makes her breath catch. Not a car. Machine, sleek, powerful, deadly beautiful. She pulls away the tarp and stares at a 1967 Shelby GT500 Cobra, midnight blue with silver racing stripes. Chrome that catches the light like liquid mercury. An engine that probably cost more than her apartment's annual rent. But it's the papers taped to the windshield that make her knees weak. Military commendation, Purple Heart citation, and a letter. On official letterhead from Carroll Shelby himself, thanking Staff Sergeant Stallone Sylvester for his service, for his sacrifice, for earning the right to own this car. This car that could outrun anything on the road. This car that represents everything Liam Bennett thinks money can buy but character earns. Her phone buzzes. Text message unknown number. Saw your pathetic ride today. Hope you enjoyed your $2 tip. Some people deserve better. Some people don't. Attached is a video. Liam Bennett in his friend's BMW, laughing about the poverty Uber and the charity. Case driver who probably lives in a trailer park. The video has 1,200 views. Rising. Nova looks at the Shelby, then at her phone, then back at the car. Tomorrow, she realizes, is going to be very interesting. But tonight, she just sits in the storage unit, running her fingers along the Cobra's perfect paint and thinking about her father. A man who earned respect the hard way. A man who knows the difference between what you drive and who you are. A man who raised his daughter to understand that dignity isn't purchased, it's proven. The video has 4,000 views by morning. Nova discovers this while eating instant oatmeal and checking her phone before her first Uber shift. The comment section is a wasteland. This is why I only use Lyft. Poor people shouldn't be allowed to drive other people. Someone start a GoFundMe for this girl's car payment. But it's the newest. Comment posted an hour ago that makes her stomach drop. Update, found her profile. Nova Turner, drives for 3 apps, lives above Murphy's Auto Shop on Elm Street. Daddy's in the VA hospital. Tragic. Her address, her father's condition, her full name, all public now, all entertainment. The phone rings. Murphy from downstairs. Nova, you might want to come down here. There's some kids outside with cameras. She looks out her window. 3 teenagers, expensive clothes, professional recording equipment. One of them is Liam Bennett. They're positioned across the street filming her building, narrating for their phones. And that's where the Uber poverty princess lives. Can you believe this place? I bet the whole building smells like desperation. Nova watches them for 10 minutes. Watches Liam direct his friends like some twisted film crew, point at her window, zoom in on the Civic, make jokes about Murphy's grease-stained coveralls when he comes out to work. This isn't random cruelty anymore. This is planned, orchestrated, weaponized. Her phone buzzes Uber notification, but not a ride request. A message from corporate. Due to recent social media attention and customer complaints, your account is under review. Please contact support immediately. The kids across the street see her in the window now. They wave, mock-friendly, like old pals. Liam cups his hands around his mouth and shouts loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. Hey, Nova, ready for another ride in the reject mobile? Mrs. Chen from next door opens her curtain, looks out, shakes her head and closes it again. Nova steps back from the window, calls the VA hospital. I need to speak with Dr. Martinez about my father, Stallone Sylvester. Dr. Martinez comes on the line. In 30 seconds later, her voice is gentle but carries news that hits like a punch. Nova, your father saw the video. Someone showed it to him on their phone during visiting hours. He's upset isn't the right word. He's focused in a way that concerns us. What do you mean focused? He's been asking about his storage unit, his military records, something about setting the record straight. We had to confiscate his phone because he was making calls to people we couldn't identify. Nova's hands go cold. What kind of calls? Old Army contacts people he served with. Like he's planning something. The teenagers across the street are setting up a tripod now. This isn't just harassment. This is content creation. She's become their personal reality show. Dr. Martinez, I need to see him right now. Visiting hours don't start until... This can't wait. The drive to Meadowbrook feels different today. Every car that passes might contain someone who's seen the video. Every stoplight is a chance for recognition at the hospital. Her father is sitting up alert in a way she hasn't seen since before the accident. They came after you, it's not a question. He knows. The nurse's station must have shown him the video, the comments, the address. Daddy, it's just some stupid kids. No baby girl. It's not. His voice carries the same tone he used when she was 12, and neighborhood bullies started calling. Her name's at school: calm, measured, dangerous. You went to the storage unit? Yes. You saw the car? Yes. Then you know what we're dealing with. Nova sits down, tries to process what he's telling her. What are we dealing with? Her father reaches for the bedside table, pulls out a newspaper clipping yellow with age. The headline reads, "Local Hero Awarded Custom Shelby for Distinguished Service." Below it, a photograph. 25-year-old Stallone Sylvester standing next. To the Cobra, shaking hands with a man in an expensive suit. But it's the smaller text that makes Nova's breath catch. The presentation ceremony took place at Highland Country Club, where Sylvester was honored by club members for his valor in Operation Enduring Freedom. The custom Shelby GT 500, valued at $150,000, was donated by club member Harrison Bennett, as in Liam Bennett. Her father sees the recognition in her eyes. The boy who's tormenting you? His grandfather gave me that car 25 years ago when I came home with shrapnel in my spine and nightmares that wouldn't quit. Nova stares at the photograph. Young Stallone, proud grandfather. The same Highland Country Club where she dropped off Liam yesterday. Harrison Bennett died 3 years ago, left everything to his grandson, including the country club membership, including the belief that money makes you better than other people. Her father's eyes are clear now, focused. That boy has no idea who he's messing with, but he's about to find out. What are you planning? Nothing violent, nothing illegal, just educational. He hands her another set of keys, these ones newer, shinier. Storage unit 48. Right next to 47, there's more? Her father smiles. The same smile that earned him 3 Purple Hearts and the respect of every man who served beside him. Baby girl, that Shelby? That's just the car they gave me for getting shot. Wait until you see what they gave me for not dying. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and let us know. Have you ever stood up to someone who thought they were better than you? Because this story is about to get very interesting. The teenagers outside her building are still filming, still laughing, still turning her life into their entertainment, but they have no idea what's coming, no idea who they're dealing with, no idea that some battles are won before they even begin. Nova looks at the keys in her palm. Unit 48. Tomorrow. Liam Bennett is going to learn that respect isn't something you buy, it's something you earn, and sometimes it's something you inherit from people who paid for it in blood. The harassment escalates overnight. Nova wakes to find her Civic's tires slashed, all 4, clean cuts, professional, a note tucked under the windshield wiper. Upgrade time, your Highland friends. The teenagers filmed this too. She can see the tripod marks in the gravel where they set up to document her morning discovery. Murphy emerges from the shop, takes one look at the damage, and shakes his head. Those rich kids? Nova nods, too angry for words. I got cameras, can probably catch them on the overnight footage, but Nova knows camera footage won't help. These kids have lawyers, parents with connections, money that makes problems disappear. She calls the tire shop. 4 new tires, $300. Her entire week's earnings. The Uber corporate callback comes while she's waiting for the tow truck. Miss Turner, we've received multiple complaints about your vehicle condition and professional behavior. Your account is suspended pending investigation. What complaints? Videos showing an unprofessional attitude towards passengers, and your car appears to violate our vehicle standards. My car passed inspection 2 months ago. That was before the social media attention. We need to protect our brand image. Nova hangs up, sits on her apartment steps. Watches Murphy load her car onto the tow truck. Her phone buzzes. Text from unknown number. How's the job search going? Heard McDonald's is hiring. You'd fit right in with the other charity cases. Attached, a photo of her apartment building taken this morning with a caption, "When your Uber driver's home looks like a crack house." The photo has been shared in a Highland Academy group chat. 17 kids, all commenting, all laughing. Someone should call social services. Is she even legal to drive? Daddy issues much. That last comment makes something snap inside Nova's chest. She stands up, walks to Murphy's office. "Can I borrow your truck?" Murphy looks up from his paperwork, sees something in her face that makes him reach for his keys without asking questions. "Where you headed?" "To visit my father, and to pick up something that belongs to me." The drive to Meadowbrook passes in a blur of rage and clarity. Her father's room feels different today, charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. He's dressed, not in hospital gowns but in his old army fatigues, clean, pressed, ready. They escalated again, not a question. He knows. The tires, the Uber suspension, the photos of our home. Her father nods, like he expected this, like he's been planning for this exact moment. Time to escalate back. He reaches for a manila folder thick with documents. These are Harrison Bennett's military records from Korea, before he got rich, before he got arrogant. Nova opens the folder, scans. The pages, discharged, dishonorable for theft, stealing supplies meant for wounded soldiers. Her father's voice is quiet now, deadly calm. Liam's grandfather wasn't a war hero. He was a war profiteer who bought his way into respectability. After the military threw him out, Nova looks at the discharge papers, the theft accusations, the evidence of a man who sold medical supplies on the black market while soldiers died waiting for treatment. How did you get these? Military records become public after 60 years. I've been waiting for the right time to use them. But why wait? Why let people think he was honorable? Because honor isn't about what you can prove about other people. It's about what you can prove about yourself. Her father stands, slowly, carefully, but under his own power. Today, baby girl, we prove ourselves. The storage facility looks different. In daylight, less mysterious, more purposeful. Unit 47 first. The Shelby sits waiting like a sleeping predator. But it's Unit 48 that stops Nova's breath. Inside, perfectly preserved, a 1969 Dodge Charger RT Hemi engine, black as midnight, chrome that reflects like polished mirrors, and beside it, military. Awards, Congressional Medal of Honor, Silver Star, Purple Heart, Bronze Star with V device, all earned by Stallone Sylvester. All real, all documented. But it's the final display that makes Nova understand her father's plan. A framed photograph, Highland Country Club, 1998, her father receiving the Shelby from Harrison Bennett, and standing behind them in the background, a young boy, maybe 5 years old, blonde hair, expensive clothes, watching his grandfather pretend to be something he wasn't. Liam Bennett, 20 years ago, learning to hate from a master. Nova's phone rings. Dr. Martinez. "Nova, your father checked himself. Out AMA against medical advice." "Where is he?" "Standing right behind me, holding the keys to 2 cars that are about to rewrite Highland Academy's understanding of who deserves respect." Dr. Martinez's voice carries concern and something else. Recognition. "Your father was Special Forces, wasn't he? Green Beret, 3 tours, 2 Purple Hearts, 1 Congressional Medal of Honor, and a very long memory." Nova hangs up. looks at her father. What's the plan? Simple. You drive the Shelby, I drive the Charger. We go to Highland Academy and we remind young Mr. Bennett that some lessons can't be bought, only learned. Her father pulls the dust covers off both cars. The engines turn over with the deep-throated roar of American muscle and justified anger. Nova slides behind the Shelby's wheel, feels the leather worn smooth by her father's hands, feels the power of 600 horsepower and 25 years of patient waiting. In the rearview mirror, she sees her father settling into the Charger, sees him grip the wheel with hands that once held rifles and now hold the tools of justice. The storage facility gate rolls open. Two legends pull onto the interstate, heading toward Highland Academy, heading toward Liam Bennett, heading toward a reckoning 20 years in the making. Highland Academy has no idea what's coming, but they're about to learn that some people earn their dignity through service, through sacrifice, through blood, and some people just think they deserve it. Today, they learn the difference. Highland Academy sits on 40 acres of manicured privilege, where every building looks like a small college, and every parking space costs more to fill than most people make in a month. Nova follows her father through the main gates, two muscle cars moving, like hunting wolves toward the circular drive where Liam Bennett holds court during lunch period. The Shelby's engine purrs with restrained violence. 600 horses waiting for permission to run. Her father's voice crackles through the Bluetooth connection they established at the last stoplight. Remember, baby girl, this isn't about revenge. This is about education. But his voice carries the same edge it must have held in Afghanistan when he called in airstrikes on enemy positions. The student parking lot spreads before them like a luxury car showroom. BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, even a few Lamborghinis scattered among the lesser vehicles. And there, surrounded by his usual crowd, filming another TikTok about his poverty encounter, stands Liam Bennett. He sees the cars coming, sees chrome and power and purpose rolling toward him at exactly the speed limit. His phone camera swivels automatically like a predator spotting prey. Oh my God, guys, check out these museum pieces. Someone's grandfather is having a midlife crisis, but his voice wavers slightly. Something about the car's approach feels deliberate, dangerous. Nova parks the Shelby directly across from Liam's BMW. Her father slides the Charger into the space beside her. They sit for a moment, engines running, letting Highland Academy absorb. The sound of real power. Students begin gathering. Phones emerge like flowers following sunlight. Liam's friends cluster around him, feeding off his confidence like pilot fish around a shark. Who are these old guys? Some kind of car show reject? But Nova notices something Liam doesn't. Dr. Harrison Webb, Highland Academy's headmaster, has emerged from the administration building, and he's staring at her father with recognition and something that might be fear. Dr. Webb served 2 tours in Iraq before becoming an educator. He knows military bearing when he sees it, and he knows that some men carry themselves like loaded weapons. Nova's father steps out of the Charger. 52 years old, grey at the temples, moving with the careful, controlled grace of a man who learned to walk again after a roadside bomb tried to teach him otherwise. He's wearing his dress uniform, every ribbon, every medal, every commendation earned through blood and brotherhood and service to something larger than himself. The students go quiet. Even the phones stop recording. There's something about Stallone Sylvester that demands attention, commands respect, makes teenage arrogance shrivel like flowers in winter, all except Liam. Liam Bennett has never learned to recognize real authority, has never understood the difference between power you buy and power you earn. Nice costume, old man. You heading to a military funeral? The silence that follows could cut glass. Dr. Webb starts walking toward them, but Nova's father raises one hand. A slight gesture, almost casual. but it stops the headmaster mid-stride. Some conversations need to happen without interruption. Nova gets out of the Shelby, feels 30 pairs of teenage eyes tracking her movement. Yesterday she was the poverty Uber driver, the charity case, the entertainment. Today she's something else, something they can't quite categorize. Her father opens the Charger's trunk, pulls out a wooden box, military issue, government stenciling still visible despite 25 years of careful storage. He sets the box on the Shelby's hood, opens it with the reverence of a man handling sacred objects. Inside, laid out on blue velvet, the Congressional Medal of Honor, Silver Star, Bronze Star with V device, Purple Heart with oak leaf cluster, Combat Infantry Badge, Parachutist Badge, Special Forces tab, the real medals, real service, real sacrifice. Liam's phone shakes slightly as he tries to keep filming. Whatever, dude. Anyone can buy that stuff on eBay. Nova's father looks at him for the first time. Really looks, with eyes that have seen roadside bombs and firefights and brothers who didn't come home. Staff Sergeant Stallone, Sylvester 3rd, Special Forces Group 3, Tours, Afghanistan. 2, Purple Hearts 1, Congressional Medal of Honor 4. Actions taken during the Battle of Wanat, when I carried 7 wounded soldiers to safety under enemy fire. His voice carries across the parking lot with the authority of absolute truth. And you are. Liam's confidence wavers. For the first time in his privileged life, he's facing someone who can't be bought, can't be intimidated, can't be impressed by Daddy's money. I'm Liam Bennett. My family, we own. Your grandfather, Harrison Bennett, served 2 relief floods. Liam's face. Common ground, military tradition, shared heritage. Yeah, he was a war hero. Career, very decorated. Nova's father nods slowly, like he's considering this information, weighing it, finding it, wanting. Harrison Bennett was discharged dishonorably from the Army in 1953 for theft of medical supplies intended for wounded soldiers. He pulls out the manila folder, the one Nova saw at the hospital. Court-martial records, discharge papers, witness testimony, all public record. Now that 60 years have passed, Liam's face goes white. The phone slips from his fingers, clatters on asphalt. That's not true. My grandfather was. Your grandfather was a thief who stole morphine from dying soldiers and sold it on the black market. The words hang in Highland Academy's pristine air like smoke from a funeral pyre. Every phone is recording now. Every student is witnessing the systematic destruction of Liam Bennett's carefully constructed superiority. But Nova's father isn't finished. The car he gave me in 1998, that was guilt money, trying to buy back a reputation he didn't deserve. He walks to the Shelby, runs his hand along the midnight blue paint. This car represents everything your grandfather pretended to be, everything he wasn't, everything you'll never understand, because you've never earned anything in your life, never sacrificed anything for. Anyone never stood up when it mattered. You're just a rich kid playing with Daddy's money, thinking it makes you better than other people. The silence in Highland Academy's parking lot is absolute. Even the wind seems to be holding its breath. The Highland Academy annual spring showcase begins in 2 hours. Parents arriving in luxury sedans. Board members gathering in the marble-floored lobby. Students preparing performances in music rooms and art studios throughout the pristine campus. But all anyone can talk about is the parking lot confrontation that ended with Liam Bennett fleeing to the bathroom and Staff Sergeant Stallone Sylvester standing beside 2 legends like an avenging angel with chrome wings. Nova watches from the Shelby as her father carefully repacks his medals in their wooden case. His hands move with practiced precision. The same hands that once disassembled improvised explosive devices now handle memories of brothers who died for the freedom of spoiled children to mock their sacrifice. Dr. Webb approaches cautiously. like a man walking toward a sleeping bear. Sergeant Sylvester, I'm Harrison Webb, headmaster here. I served 2 tours in Iraq. 101st Airborne Nova's father looks up, acknowledges the introduction with a slight nod. Professional courtesy between warriors. Dr. Webb, I know who you are. I also know this school has a problem. Webb's face tightens. He spent 10 years building Highland Academy's reputation, creating an environment where privilege and education merge seamlessly, where parents pay 6-figure tuitions for the guarantee that their children will never encounter anything uncomfortable, anything real, anything that might challenge their inherited superiority. What kind of problem? Your students believe money makes them better than other people. They harass service workers, film it for entertainment, post addresses online, destroy property, and face no consequences. Webb glances around at the growing crowd of students and arriving parents. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. Nova's father closes the medal case, sets it on the Shelby's roof where afternoon sunlight makes the brass nameplate gleam like gold. No, sir. This conversation happens in public, where everyone can hear it. His voice carries across the parking lot with parade ground authority. Students stop pretending to check their phones. Parents pause their important conversations. Even the maintenance staff emerge from buildings drawn by something they can't quite name. The presence of a man who has earned the right to speak truth without apology. Your student Liam Bennett has been harassing my daughter for driving an older car, for working multiple jobs, for taking care of her disabled veteran father. Webb's administrative instincts kick in. Damage control, public relations, protecting the institution. I'm sure we can work something out. Perhaps a formal apology, some community service. Nova's father shakes his head. Slow, deliberate, final. Community service is what I did in Afghanistan. When I carried wounded soldiers through enemy fire, this is education. He opens the Charger's trunk, pulls out something Nova has never seen before, a scrapbook, thick, well-worn, filled with photographs and newspaper clippings and letters from families whose sons and daughters came home alive because of Staff Sergeant Stallone Sylvester. He sets the scrapbook on the Shelby's hood beside the medal case, opens it to the first page. Lance Corporal Maria Santos, age 19. Saved during the Wanat firefight, currently attending medical school at Johns Hopkins. He turns the page. Sergeant, first class David Kim, age 24, lost both legs to an IED. Now coaches Paralympic basketball in Denver. Page after page of lives saved. Lives changed, lives that matter because one man decided other people's children were worth more than his own safety. Liam Bennett emerges from the administration building, his face red, eyes puffy, flanked by 2 adults who can only be his parents. His mother wears the kind of jewelry that costs more than teacher salaries. His father moves with the casual arrogance of a man who has never been told no. They approach like a small army armed with lawyers and checkbooks and the absolute certainty that money solves everything. What exactly is going on here? Mr. Bennett's voice carries the authority of a man accustomed to boardrooms and country clubs and conversations where everyone agrees with him because everyone needs something from him. Nova's father looks at him with the same expression he might reserve for something stuck to his shoe. Your son has been harassing a young woman who works honest jobs to support her family. Mr. Bennett glances at Nova dismissively. Boys will be boys. I'm sure we can compensate you for any inconvenience. The word compensate hangs in the air like a slap. Nova feels something cold and hard settle in her chest. The same feeling she gets when people assume she's for sale. Her father closes the scrapbook. His movements deliberate, controlled, dangerous. Sir, I've spent 25 years watching men. Better than your son die for this country. I didn't survive 3 tours and a roadside bomb to watch privileged children think they can buy their way out of consequences. The showcase crowd has tripled. Parents, students, faculty, board members. Even local news crews drawn by social media posts about the military confrontation at Highland Academy. Mr. Bennett pulls out his phone. Speed dials a number. I'm calling our attorney. This is harassment. Trespassing, disturbing the peace. Nova's father reaches into the Charger's back seat, pulls out one final item, a folder marked with Highland Country Club letterhead, 25 years old, slightly yellowed, but official. The deed to the Shelby GT 500, signed by Harrison Bennett, witnessed by the club's board of directors. Legal, binding, irrevocable, and beside the signature, a handwritten note in Harrison Bennett's spidery script. To Staff Sergeant Sylvester, may this car serve as a reminder that some debts can never be repaid. Your service honors us all. H. Bennett. Bennett stares at the document, recognition dawning like a sunrise he doesn't want to see. Your father gave me this car to ease his conscience about being a war profiteer and a thief, but he also gave me something else, something more valuable than chrome and horsepower. He opens the metal case one final time. Sunlight catches the Congressional Medal of Honor and throws rainbows across Highland Academy's perfect facade. He gave me the understanding that honor isn't inherited. It's earned, and your son has earned nothing except contempt. The silence that follows will be remembered at Highland Academy long after the current students have graduated and forgotten most of their expensive education. But they will remember this moment, this man, this lesson in the difference between what money can buy and what character costs. The showcase is about to begin, but the real performance has already ended, and everyone knows who won. The Highland Academy Board of Directors assembles in emergency session in the glass-walled conference room overlooking the parking lot, where two muscle cars sit like monuments to uncomfortable truths. Nova watches through the windows as 12 of the wealthiest people in the county gesture frantically at documents spread across a mahogany table that costs more than most people's cars. Her father stands beside the Shelby, answering questions from a growing crowd of parents and students who suddenly understand they've been witnessing something unprecedented, a reckoning. Mrs. Catherine Whitmore, Highland Academy's board chair, emerges from the building, moving with the careful precision of a woman who has spent 40 years navigating high society and crisis management. Behind her walks Dr. Webb, looking like a man who has just discovered his parachute has a hole in it. Sergeant Sylvester, Mrs. Whitmore's voice carries the authority of old money and older connections. We need to discuss this situation privately. Nova's father doesn't move, doesn't even turn to acknowledge her approach. Ma'am, with respect, there's nothing private about honor. Mrs. Whitmore glances around at the phones, still recording, at the news crews, setting up equipment, at the parents, whispering among themselves with the urgent intensity of people reassessing everything they thought they knew. The Bennett family has been a cornerstone of this institution for 3 generations. Yes, Mum, I'm aware, major donors to our scholarship fund, our building campaign, our... Nova's father finally turns, looks at her with eyes that have seen too much to be impressed by charitable tax write-offs. Ma'am, I don't care if they built this entire school with their bare hands. Respect isn't a donation, it's a debt that can only be paid in character. And your institution has been teaching the opposite for too long. Liam Bennett emerges from behind his parents like a shadow that's finally found sunlight. His face shows the particular pallor of someone who has just realized their entire world was built on quicksand. I didn't know about my grandfather. Nova's father studies him with the patience of a sniper calculating distance and wind speed. What didn't you know? That he wasn't. That the medals were, the words won't come. 25 years of family mythology crashing down in real time. Son, let me tell you what you did know. You knew my daughter works honest jobs to support her family. You knew she drives an Older car because newer ones cost money she doesn't have. You knew her father is in a VA hospital because he served his country, and you decided all of that made her less than you. Liam's mother steps forward. Diamond earrings catching afternoon light like tears. She's too proud to shed. He's just a child. He doesn't understand, ma'am. Your son is 17 years old enough to drive to vote to serve in the military. He's old enough to understand that. Other people have value worldly enough to know that filming someone's humiliation for entertainment is cruelty. Old enough to be held accountable for his choices, Doctor. Webb tries diplomatic intervention, institutional damage control, the careful dance of academic administration. Perhaps we could arrange some sort of restorative justice community service at the VA hospital, a learning opportunity. Nova's father opens the charger's door, pulls out one more document, this one recent. Official VA letterhead, Dr. Martinez's signature. Psychological evaluation, severe PTSD, requiring ongoing treatment, triggered by social media harassment targeting his daughter. The parking lot goes silent again. Even the news crews stop adjusting their equipment. My daughter has been caring for a disabled veteran who wakes up screaming from nightmares about roadside bombs. She works 3 jobs to pay for medications that keep him stable enough to remember her name, and your son decided that struggle was entertainment. He hands the document to Dr. Webb. This is what your student's harassment has cost a man who served his country with honor, now requires additional treatment because his daughter was attacked for being poor. The silence that follows has weight, gravity, the kind of quiet that changes how people see the world. Mrs. Whitmore looks at the crowd of parents and students and news cameras, all waiting for Highland Academy's response. What do you want? The question hangs in the air like smoke from a signal fire. Nova's father walks to the Shelby, runs his hand along the perfect paint that represents everything Liam Bennett thought he understood about worth. I want your students to understand that character can't be purchased. I want them to know that some people earn respect through service. I want them to learn that dignity isn't measured in dollars. He opens the Shelby's door. The engine rumbles to life with the deep-throated roar of American muscle and justified anger. And I want my daughter to drive this car to school every day for the rest of the semester, so every student at Highland Academy can see what real value looks like. He gets into the charger, revs the engine once, twice, a sound like thunder, promising storm. But most of all, I want you to remember that some lessons can't be bought, only learned. The 2 cars pull away from Highland Academy in perfect formation. Father and daughter, veteran and civilian, honor and inheritance, leaving behind a parking lot full of people who suddenly understand the difference between what they have and what they've earned, between what they own and who they are, between privilege and purpose. The showcase will go on, but no performance will match what they just witnessed. The education of Liam Bennett, the reckoning of Highland Academy, the moment when truth met privilege and privilege blinked first. 3 weeks later, Highland Academy looks the same from the outside. Same manicured lawns, same ivy-covered buildings, same circular driveway where luxury cars deliver privileged children to their expensive education. But something fundamental has shifted. Nova parks the Shelby in the student lot every morning now, not because she attends Highland Academy, but because she works there. Dr. Webb offered her a position in the school's new community outreach program, full-time, benefits included, salary that covers her father's medications with enough left over for dignity. The job title, Veterans Family Liaison. Her desk sits in the main office, where every student passes by multiple times each day, where they see the framed photograph of Staff Sergeant Stallone Sylvester receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor from the Secretary of Defense. where they learn that the quiet young woman who helps coordinate their community service hours at the VA hospital carries herself with the particular grace of someone who has earned the right to hold her head high. Liam Bennett transferred schools 2 weeks ago. His parents cited philosophical differences with Highland Academy's new educational direction, but everyone knows he couldn't face walking past Nova's desk every day, couldn't handle the weight of his classmates' eyes now that they understood exactly who he had been attacking. The Shelby has become a landmark. Students give directions relative to its location. Meet me by the Medal of Honor car. I'll be studying near the Cobra. Some of them have started researching military history, learning about sacrifice, understanding that heroes don't always look like movie stars. Sometimes they look like tired fathers in hospital beds who raise daughters to understand that character matters more than comfort. Nova's phone buzzes, text from her father. "How's your day going, baby girl?" She types back, "Good. Helping organize the Veterans Memorial Garden. Your idea is actually happening. Proud of you. Always have been." The Memorial Garden was Stallone Sylvester's suggestion during a meeting with Highland Academy's board of directors. A place where students could learn about service, where local veterans could share their stories, where the cost of freedom would be honored instead of forgotten. Mrs. Whitmore initially resisted. Too political, she said, too controversial. But then the local news picked up the story. Social media exploded with support. Donations poured in from across the country. Veterans organizations, military families, people who understood that some lessons are worth any cost. The garden will be dedicated next month. A bronze plaque will bear the inscription, "In honor of all who served and the families who serve alongside them. Their sacrifice reminds us that freedom is not free and character is not for sale." Highland Academy's new scholarship fund supports military families. Full tuition for children of disabled veterans. Nova was the first recipient. She starts classes in the fall. Education degree, specializing in military family counseling. Her father insists she keep the Shelby. Says it belongs to her now. Says she's earned it through grace under pressure. Through dignity in the face of cruelty. Through the quiet strength of someone who understands that responding to hatred with character is the highest form of victory. The Highland Academy trophy case has been redesigned. Where once only academic and athletic achievements were displayed, now sits something more valuable. Stallone Sylvester's Congressional Medal of Honor, on loan from a grateful father to an institution learning to value the right things. The placard reads, "Staff Sergeant Stallone Sylvester, United States Army Special Forces, 3 tours of duty Afghanistan. Medal of Honor recipient Purple Heart. 2, Bronze Star with V device, Silver Star Father Hero Teacher." Beneath it, a smaller display case holds something even more precious. A letter written in a 17-year-old's careful script. "Dear Mr. Sylvester, I know I can never undo what I did to your daughter. I know saying sorry isn't enough. But I want you to know that I'm learning. I'm volunteering at the VA hospital. I'm trying to understand what service means. I'm trying to become the kind of person who deserves respect instead of demanding it. Thank you for teaching me the difference. Liam Bennett." The letter arrived last week, postmarked from Liam's new school, a military academy in Virginia where entitled attitudes are surgically removed and character is installed through discipline and service. Nova keeps a copy in her desk drawer. Not because she's forgiven the cruelty, not because sorry erases pain, but because it proves that even spoiled children can learn when the lesson is taught with enough clarity, when consequence meets action and character wins. The Shelby's engine purrs. In the Highland Academy parking lot, like a contented cat that has found its proper home. Chrome gleams in afternoon sunlight. Paint reflects the faces of students learning that value isn't measured in dollars, that respect is earned, That honor is inherited only by those worthy of the legacy. Nova locks the car, walks toward the administration building where her father waits in the visitor's lounge. He comes by every Wednesday to see her, to check on the Memorial Garden's progress, to remind Highland Academy that some debts can never be fully repaid, but they can be honored through changed hearts, through better choices, through the slow, careful work of building character in places where it was never valued before. The Highland Academy, where Nova Turner now works, is not the same place where she was humiliated 3 weeks ago. It's better, kinder, more honest, because sometimes the best education happens outside the classroom. Sometimes wisdom arrives in muscle cars and military uniforms and the quiet dignity of people who have earned the right to teach. 6 months later, the question returns like morning light after a long night. What would you do if someone mocked your father's sacrifice right to your face? Nova Turner knows the answer now. She stands in Highland Academy's Memorial Garden, watching her father tell stories to a circle of transfixed students, real stories about brotherhood, about sacrifice, about the weight of carrying wounded friends through enemy fire when every instinct screams to run. The students listen with the attention reserved for truth, for wisdom that can't be Googled or purchased or inherited, wisdom earned through blood and service, and the particular grace that comes from choosing other people's lives over your own safety. The garden blooms around them, roses and remembrance. Beauty grown from sacrifice. The bronze memorial catches afternoon sunlight and throws it back like hope made visible. Their sacrifice reminds us that freedom is not free and character is not for sale. Nova's phone buzzes. Email notification from Liam Bennett. She almost deletes it without reading. Almost, but something makes her pause, tap the screen, open the message. Ms. Turner, I graduated from Military Academy last week, top of my class in leadership. I'm enlisting in the Army, infantry, following your father's path, not because I have to, because I want to earn the right to call myself a man. Thank you for showing me what that means. Respectfully, Second Lieutenant Liam Bennett, attached. A photograph. Liam in dress blues, standing at attention, face serious, eyes clear, looking like someone who has learned the difference between what you're given and what you earn. Nova shows the email to her father when the storytelling session ends. He reads it twice, nods slowly, hands back the phone. Good for him, that's all. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just the quiet acknowledgement of a young man choosing the harder path. The Highland Academy parking lot still holds luxury cars and entitled attitudes, but it also holds something new. A 1967 Shelby GT500 that represents everything money can't buy. Courage, character, the willingness to stand up when it matters. Nova drives it every day, not as a symbol of victory over Liam Bennett, but as a reminder that some battles are won not through violence or revenge or public humiliation, but through the patient work of living with dignity, of treating others with respect regardless of how they treat you, of understanding that the best way to defeat hatred is with character. The Shelby's engine rumbles to life. 600 horses and 25 years of waiting for the right moment to teach the right lesson. Nova pulls out of Highland Academy's circular drive, past the Memorial Garden, past the trophy case that holds her father's medals, past the office where she helps coordinate community service at the VA hospital, where Highland Academy students now spend Friday afternoons reading to wounded veterans, playing chess with men who lost limbs but never lost their sense of humor, learning that service isn't a punishment, it's a privilege. The question that began this story has an answer now. What would you do if someone mocked your father's sacrifice right to your face? You respond with grace, with dignity, with the quiet strength that comes from knowing your worth isn't determined by other people's opinions. You let character speak louder than cruelty. You let service outweigh selfishness. You let love conquer hatred. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, if you handle things the right way, if you remember that hurt people often hurt people, and that healing is possible for everyone, sometimes the person who tried to break you learns to build themselves into something worthy of respect. The Shelby GT500 disappears into late afternoon traffic, chrome gleaming, engine purring, carrying its driver toward home, toward her father, toward a life built on the solid foundation of earned dignity. The Highland Academy Memorial Garden will outlive every student currently enrolled. The bronze plaque will weather decades of seasons. Generations of children will learn about sacrifice and service and the cost of freedom. But the real memorial isn't made of bronze, it's made of changed hearts, better choices, the slow transformation of entitled children into responsible adults, the understanding that character isn't inherited. It's forged, one choice at a time, one act of courage at a time, one moment of choosing dignity over revenge, service over selfishness, love over hatred. The story ends where it began, with a question. But now the answer is clear. If this story moved, you like, share, and subscribe. Sometimes the most powerful victories happen not when we defeat our enemies, but when we help them become better people. Character isn't about what car you drive. It's about how you treat the person driving it.